They told you it was luck, but heaven says it was a verdict, a ruling in the courts of the Most High. Your name was called, your case was heard, and the judge struck every record of bondage from your file. Not because you begged, not because you hustled harder, but because your assignment could no longer be delayed. Debt was never just numbers on a page. It was a leash tight around your spirit, pulling you back from the places God called you to walk. Some chains are forged in banks, others are forged in fear. Both snap the moment God says, enough. This provision is not to make you comfortable. It is to shift your identity, from survivor to builder, from the one scraping by to the one funding kingdom ground. You will lay foundations, others will build on. You will seed works that outlive you. And make no mistake, God's timing is not random. This is not, finally, by chance. This is strategic. He waited until you could hold the weight without losing focus, until the blessing would multiply, not distract. And your release will not be silent. It will be a prophecy others can see. Your sudden freedom will shake the unbelief in those watching you. They will have to face the truth. God's promises are not poetry, they are power. When you owe no man, you stand taller. The spiritual realm recognizes the authority in your step. The same angels that carried your case to heaven now carry your orders to earth. This is a sign. The season of manna is ending. The season of ownership begins. You will not collect scraps. You will own fields. You will write the terms, not just sign them. But the miracle comes with exposure. Watch who falls silent. Watch whose smile fades when your chains drop. Their discomfort is the proof of who was invested in your bondage. Let it teach you. And remember, this is God's signature, not man's generosity. No human can take credit. No system can claim the glory. Provision flows from the source, and the source is unshakable. Now comes the test. Will you steward the abundance, or walk yourself back into captivity? Will you build altars with it or idols? This gift is an entry point to the next level. How you handle it will decide the size of the next door. The verdict has been read. The chains are gone. Heaven has covered every need. From today, your life will not be defined by what you lacked, but by what you built in the wake of your freedom. What you called lack was never punishment. It was a diagnostic, a divine scan of your trust circuits, revealing where the wires had been spliced. Money here, hustle there, a person you thought you couldn't live without. God had to show you that unless your source was Him, everything else could and would fail you. Pressure was never random. It was a source audit. Under the weight, where did you run first? Did you rush to a lender? Did you broadcast your need to the crowd? Or did you slip into the secret place, close the door, and let the Father who sees in secret answer in the open? Your reflex in crisis is your real confession of faith. Sometimes it wasn't even true scarcity. It was misallocation. The kingdom test forced you to rearrange your spending, your energy, in your attention, away from appetite and toward assignment. God will not fund distractions, but He will fully supply your mission. And in that stripping away came the identity detox. You learned that your worth was never in your wallet. You discovered the weight of your calling was heavier than any paycheck. God was cutting the cord that tied your self-respect to your net worth. In the quiet of the not enough, He opened your eyes to hidden capital, not in your bank, but in your hands, your mind, your relationships, your favor with people of influence. Heaven intended to convert these unseen assets into visible provision, and the way forward required precision obedience. Not vague prayers, not blanket declarations, but sharp, specific action. Send the email, make the call, write the page, knock on the door. Often the release was hidden behind a single, spirit-whispered step. In the slowness of the test, God was recalibrating your pace, breaking the idolatry of overwork, inviting you into Sabbath not as a day off, but as a declaration of trust. Rest became warfare. Stillness became strategy. And in your need, He tested your community humility. Could you receive without pride? Could you let the body hold you up today, so you could become the one who holds others tomorrow? Pride will starve you faster than poverty. Even your mouth was under observation. Every word weighed. Complaint became drought, but disciplined confession became the sound that summoned rain. Life and death were always in the power of your tongue. But now you could see the weather change when you spoke. And through it all, there was strategic concealment. God kept certain blessings small, quiet, and hidden. Not because you were unworthy, but because He was building your discretion, protecting you from premature visibility, training you to carry more without leaking it through ego. This was never just about the bills. It was about forming a steward, not a spender, a son, not a servant of fear. And now, because you endured the diagnosis, you can walk into the release, without losing your soul in the increase. You have lived too long making decisions with the shadow of survival over your shoulder. Every yes weighed against the fear of tomorrow's lack. Every no rooted in the question, will this cost me too much? But when heaven covers every need, that chain breaks. You move from fear-based reaction to faith-filled clarity. You choose not from desperation, but from destiny. And with that, another chain snaps, the chain of transactional ties. You will not stay where the air is toxic just to keep the lights on. You will not bend your boundaries to feed your basic needs. God's covering means you can walk away from manipulation without looking back. Some will be shocked you're no longer available for their hidden control games. But this is freedom. Then comes the chain of delayed obedience. Before, you told God, I will, but not yet. Once I save enough, once I'm ready. Now your yes will be instant. No more waiting for resources to align. Your resources are already aligned in heaven. When God says, go, you go. When He says, give, you give. This is what it means to walk as Abraham did, not knowing where, but knowing who sends you. And that breaks the chain of performance identity. You no longer hustle to prove your worth. You no longer measure your value by output, followers, or applause. You are not a servant of the grind, you are a son, a daughter of the King. And a king's child does not beg for bread. But heaven's covering also severs something deeper, the generational scarcity script. The story that told you, our family never has enough. The curse that whispered, we always struggle. The DNA of lack is overwritten by the covenant of provision. Your children will inherit possibility, not poverty. Your bloodline just got rewritten. Then, the chain of muted creativity shatters. You will no longer kill an idea in your mind because of cost. You will no longer calculate yourself out of vision. The divine spark in you will breathe again. And when you create, it will carry the fragrance of freedom. And what of the chain of physical and emotional depletion? Gone. Rest will not feel like a luxury. It will be your rhythm. The guilt of pausing will lift. Your body will heal in the space your mind once filled with worry. You will finally understand the psalmist's words, He makes me lie down in green pastures. No more chain of spiritual distraction either. No more background noise of, how will I pay for this? When provision is settled, your focus sharpens. You hear instructions clearly. Your heart beats to the tempo of kingdom purpose. And you will not be bound by the chain of compromised vision. You will no longer shrink your calling to fit your budget. Your dreams will expand to match your God-given mandate. For if He funds the sparrows, He will fund the vision He placed in you. Finally, the chain of invisible control breaks. Fear will not move you. Urgency will not own you. Dependency will not dictate your path. You will stand unmovable in your assignment. Because when God covers every need, the enemy loses every handle he had on your soul. The resistance you've been feeling is not random. It is the last howl before the wall breaks. The enemy can smell the delivery in the air, and he knows it has your name on it. Last-minute warfare is not proof you're off course. It's proof you are about to cross it. Heaven is already moving the resources. The answer has already been dispatched. But the enemy hopes to wear you down, to make you put the promise down before it lands in your hands. And here's the warning. Some of these battles aren't about today. They're about spiritual contracts you didn't sign, but your bloodline did. Generational chains that are about to expire. The opposition is not just trying to stop you. It's trying to renew what God is canceling. Fear is their pen. Compromise is their ink. Refuse to sign. You have to see the pattern. Every time God is about to give you new instructions, chaos tries to cloud your hearing. Why? Because divine assignments come with divine supply. If you can't hear the next order, you'll miss the key to the next door. And the provision that's on its way, it's not just for you. It's about territory. When heaven funds you, regions shift, people awaken, systems are challenged. The enemy's map is about to change. And that's why he's throwing everything at you now. Don't mistake the attack for failure. It's reverse confirmation. Even hell is announcing your breakthrough. The fact that you're under this much pressure is the proof that what's coming can't be stopped, only resisted. And God is watching, not to see if you can survive. You've already done that. He's watching to see if you can steward authority, to see if you can hold the blessing without letting the blessing hold you. Because once it's in your hands, you must be able to defend it. This is why the enemy will try to provoke you now, to make you reckless with your words, to make you react instead of discern, because misalignment in this moment can disqualify you from walking through the open gate. Guard your confession. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. One wrong agreement can delay what heaven already paid for. Pressure wants you to speak defeat. Don't give it that satisfaction. And beware of intimidation. It will come dressed as urgency, as threats, as what-if nightmares. If it can make you shrink now, you will carry the blessing small. You will bury it instead of planting it. But this fight, it's the loudest signal yet. The enemy already knows the shift is irreversible. It's not if. It's only, are you ready to hold it? Your answer must be, yes. Your posture must be steady, because the covering God has released over you is not seasonal. It's permanent. And from today, you will walk like someone heaven refuses to let go. The provision is here, but God is not only filling your hands, He is healing your heart, because financial relief without emotional healing is incomplete provision. If your soul stays wounded, you will spend the blessing like a bandage. But when heaven restores you, the abundance will not leak through old scars. The Holy Spirit is moving into the hidden rooms, pulling out the splinters of betrayal, washing the wounds you stopped talking about. Anxiety leaves, fear dissolves, and in that stillness, your decisions become sharper. When the noise of worry dies, you choose from discernment instead of desperation. No more just to get by choices. No more taking deals that shrink your destiny. This is what emotional covering does. It clears the fog, so you can see the road God has been pointing to all along. But God doesn't stop there. He builds a spiritual fortress around what He just placed in your hands. Because provision without defense is a target for theft. The enemy would love to drain your accounts, distract your mind, divide your alliances. But the covering seals every breach. Psalm 91 says, His truth shall be your shield and buckler. N16. Your resources will not be left in the open. They are under watch from the armies of heathen. And this covering is not just for you. It is reaching forward, wrapping around your children, touching the bloodline you will never meet in the flesh. The cycles you broke, fear, lack, addiction, instability, will not be written into their story. Your obedience is now their inheritance. Peace of mind is the great multiplier. When your spirit rests, your hands can build. When you are not wasting strength on panic, you can focus that power on streams, on expansion, on planting seeds that will bear fruit in multiple seasons. One blessing becomes many. The covering is also reclaiming territory. There are places you were pushed out of, rooms you were told you didn't belong in. God is walking you back in with authority. The keys you lost are being returned. The gates that shut are swinging open. This is restoration in motion, and the story of your family is being rewritten. The curse is replaced with covenant. Your descendants will inherit possibility, not limitation. They will start from your ceiling, not from the ground you had to crawl through. This emotional covering is making you sharper. No more falling into the traps of flattery, false partnership, or hidden agendas. You will sense the spirit behind the handshake. You will see the thread of manipulation before it can tie around your ankle. Because spiritual provision also aligns timing. The right door will open when you are ready, and the wrong door will slam even if it looks golden. God is not only blessing you, He is protecting you from being blessed too soon. This is multi-layered covering. It is the reason this blessing will not vanish like mist. It will stay. It will grow. It will pass through your hands into the future, intact, multiplied, untouched by the rod of the enemy. What heathen covers, hell cannot touch. When a drought ends overnight, It's never random. It's a prophetic signature proof that the covenant still holds. The testing is over. The promise has ripened. The prayers you thought heaven forgot have been maturing in silence, waiting for this exact moment. The absence of old struggles is not coincidence. It's divine closure. Those patterns that drained you year after year, they didn't just fade, they expired. Their spiritual assignment over you was canceled in the courts of heaven. What used to chase you can't even find your trail anymore. The wilderness was a classroom. It taught you to survive when all you had was manna and morning dew. But now this is promotion to stewardship. You're not gathering crumbs off the ground. You're managing harvests that require barns, not baskets. And barns require vision. Barns require leadership. The suddenness is intentional. God moved fast, so you couldn't get comfortable in scarcity. So, you wouldn't start calling wilderness home. Your identity was never meant to be tied to survival. It was forged for dominion. And now, the resources finally match the revelation. In the wilderness, you saw it but couldn't build it. The blueprints in your spirit were bigger than your supply. But now the provision has caught up to the vision God already planted. It's time to build what you've only carried in secret. The opposition feels different now, doesn't it? The enemy's voice is quieter. The intensity has shifted. Because the terrain of battle has changed. You're not defending scraps. You're expanding territory. Expansion makes the enemy nervous in a whole new way. Fresh instructions are coming. In the wilderness, you kept repeating the same tests, circling the same mountains. But in this season, the orders are different. Strategies for building, blueprints for multiplying. You've moved from hold your ground to take new ground. The old manna stops falling. Not because God is withholding, but because you now have permanent sources. Wells you didn't dig, vineyards you didn't plant, and still, they're yours by inheritance. Relationships are shifting. Those who could only walk with you in the struggle may not follow you into abundance. It's not rejection, it's realignment. God is bringing partners who think in promise, not in scarcity. People who won't flinch when you talk about building cities, not tents. And the greatest sign of all? Peace feels normal, not rare, not fleeting, but a constant, steady rhythm in your spirit. You can sit in God's presence without glancing over your shoulder for the next crisis. That's how you know the wilderness chapter is closed. This isn't survival anymore. This is dominion. Provision has a way of shaking the room. The moment heaven covers your need, the unspoken power dynamics shift. Those who once held leverage through your struggle lose their grip overnight. They can't pull the strings anymore. They can't dictate the terms. The invisible chains they use to keep you compliant are broken. And watch closely. Hidden envy doesn't scream. It slips away quietly. Some will withdraw, not because you wronged them, but because your increase is a mirror that shows them the ground they've been standing on hasn't moved. Your blessing becomes their discomfort. And here's the warning. The moment you rise without their assistance, masked competition comes into focus. They smile in public, but you'll feel the resistance in the spirit. Those secretly trying to stay ahead will reveal their true motives, not by what they say, but by what they no longer do. Forced narratives begin to collapse. Those who framed your lack as proof you were out of alignment will now have to face the undeniable evidence of your favor. They will either repent or retreat. Then come the passive-aggressive blessings, the congratulations that cut both ways. The comments wrapped in sweetness, hiding the sting of resentment. Hear me, these are not harmless. They are the residue of a heart that quietly hoped you wouldn't make it. But here's the divine shift. Resource independence changes your tolerance. You'll no longer play along with manipulation. No more bending to unspoken threats. No more agreeing to terms that suffocate your calling. When God is your source, you are untouchable by human control. And in this new atmosphere, relationship testing accelerates. The blessing acts like fire in a refining furnace. Those with pure hearts will shine brighter. Those with mixed motives will crack under the heat. And you won't have to guess. Their silence, their sudden critiques, their distance will tell you everything. The absence of applause becomes a lesson in discernment. Watch who celebrates loudly. Watch who looks away. These responses are prophetic indicators of alignment and loyalty. But God doesn't just remove. He replaces. As provision grows, He will align you with allies who are not threatened by your increase. People who see your rise as part of their own assignment to protect, encourage, and multiply kingdom impact. And this exposure, it's not punishment, it's protection. God is safeguarding your next stage. By revealing who was never truly for you, He is building a perimeter around your destiny, so that when the next wave of favor hits, there will be no leaks, no betrayal waiting in the shadows, no sabotage dressed as friendship. This is the season where God not only covers your needs, He covers your back, He covers your circle, and He covers your future, so you can walk in fullness without looking over your shoulder. Some blessings didn't start with you. They began decades ago. Prayers whispered in kitchens, tears soaked into wooden floors, petitions sent to heaven and filed away, waiting for a descendant who could carry the weight. You are that descendant. This provision is not just a gift, it's a time-released intercession. Your grandmother's midnight prayers, your grandfather's quiet faith, they are breaking open in your lifetime. The scroll is unsealed because your life now aligns with the request. Heaven works in covenant patterns. Sometimes, resources are kept in escrow, not because God forgot, but because character, timing, and assignment had to converge like three locks, turning in perfect rhythm. Now, they have. The vault is open. The release conditions are met. You are not here by accident. This is a bloodline assignment. You've been chosen by name, by temperament, by timing, to finish what they could only start, to bring to full harvest the seeds they planted in tears. And this is why the warfare on your life has been generational. The enemy saw your arrival long before you did. Look at the patterns breaking around you. Cycles of debt, addiction, abandonment. They are stopping here. This is pattern reversal evidence. It's not luck. It's the prophetic termination of an inherited curse. And now, doors are opening in places your ancestors could never enter. Territories they were blocked from are swinging wide for you. Industries, lands, institutions. You walk in not as a trespasser, but as an heir. This is territorial inheritance unlocked. Every act of service, every sacrifice, every hidden act of integrity, they gave under pressure. It accrued interest in the spiritual realm. That interest is now yours. This is legacy credit, returning with compound favor. And suddenly, your hands can do what they couldn't before. Abilities that felt dormant, the leadership, the craft, the language, the artistry, they are accelerating. This is skill line activation. Heaven is funding the gifts planted generations ago. Pay attention to the signs. Dates will align. Names will repeat. Objects from family history will resurface. Scriptures tied to your bloodline will reappear. These are synchronicity markers. They are heaven's signature that this is not random. But understand this is not just reward. It is responsibility. You are being handed the mandate to repair breaches, to retire debts left lingering, to reconcile branches of the family tree, to reclaim property and restore a name. And the flow is sealed by honor, public gratitude, preserving the stories, establishing scholarships, altars, or works in their name. Honor keeps the pipeline open. It tells heaven, this blessing will not die with me. You are not just living for yourself now. You are living for every ancestor who prayed, for every generation still to come, and for the God who trusted you to carry this prophetic inheritance. When the blessing mirrors your obedience, it's never random. You forgave the one who wounded you. Suddenly, reconciliation opens where doors had been welded shut. You sowed in secret, investing in growth when no one was watching, and a mentor appeared like a messenger from heaven. Cause, not coincidence. This is the divine law of sowing and reaping made visible. What you planted in tears is now showing up in provision you didn't have to chase. Obedience shifts your jurisdiction. One act of faith can move you from the outer court to the inner council. Suddenly, you're invited into rooms you once passed by. Regions where you were invisible now acknowledge your authority. Roles you couldn't step into are now offered without you campaigning for them, because spiritual boundaries move when you align with the King's command. Every promise has a condition. This release is the clause executed. You said a hard yes when your flesh wanted to say no, and heaven recorded it as a binding agreement. Now the verdict is carried out not in whispers, but in visible, measurable supply. God's promises are not vague. They are legally enforceable in the spirit. Look around. The alignments are too precise to be human-made. The right person, the right hour, the exact resource, no delays. This is angelic logistics. Your obedience was the dispatch order. The angels have been working overtime to put every piece into place, so you step into a prepared table, not an empty room. Do you see the rhythm? Opportunities no longer arrive in chaos, they come in sequence. Step leads to step. Door opens to corridor. It's the signature of an unseen system syncing to your every move. Obedience has locked your timing to heaven's clock. And now, the noise is gone. The static that made you second-guess every decision has been silenced. Clarity flows fast and clean. Your spirit hears without delay. Because the interference, those hidden jammers in the unseen have been removed. Watch how the friction drops. Processes that used to take months now take days. Approvals come early. Fees are waived. Doors swing open before you even knock. This is favor, as invisible lubrication, making what was hard, easy. And here is the paradox. Even as pressure rises, output multiplies. This is anti-fragile increase. Grace expands under strain. What would have broken you last year now produces more in you. Obedience didn't just shift the atmosphere, it made it work for you. This blessing will hold up under any light. It's integrity-backed. Luck fades. Hype collapses. But what's been signed and sealed in the courts of heaven will stand time's test. And finally, multiplication on righteous patterns. You're not just gaining, you're compounding. Not through greed or grind, but through steady alignment with the kingdom blueprint. Every seed in your hand is producing after its kind, again and again. Because the unseen has already tilted the scales in your favor. Provision changes more than your bank account. It changes the mirror. For years, you've seen yourself through the lens of lack, through the fog of constant strain. But now heaven says, look again. You are equipped, not deficient, not scrambling. Equipped for the work, equipped for the destiny. This is the identity upgrade the enemy feared. Because when you know who you are, you stop asking permission to take up space. You stop apologizing for being anointed. Survival had you in reactive mode, always defending, always fixing, always responding to what life threw at you. But when God covers every need, you switch from defense to offense, from reaction to design, from waiting for open doors to building the doors yourself. And without the drain of unmet needs, your emotional bandwidth expands. The low hum of anxiety goes silent. Your mind can breathe again. And in that space, love grows deeper. Creativity flows without restraint. You pour into relationships that matter. You tend the gardens God planted in you without fear of neglect. Then comes the resurrection of dormant vision. Those ideas you buried under, I can't afford this? They are rising, demands you once ignored. Now press on your spirit, not as burdens, but as blueprints. This is the moment the future you saw in prayer starts knocking at your door in the present. But understand, provision shifts relationships. It exposes hidden motives. It frees you from dependency games. The ones who thrived off your neediness will lose access. The ones who celebrated your bondage will fall silent. And your circle will shrink, but it will be pure. With every bill paid, every need met, your spiritual authority grows. You pray with a boldness that frightens darkness. You move in faith without checking your own reserves, because you know the source will refill them. Now you have an appetite for risk, but not reckless risk. Spirit-led, assignment-driven risk. Leaps you never took before, because you feared the fall. Now you leap knowing the ground will rise to meet your feet. And the old identities, struggler, hustler, underdog, they don't fit anymore. Heaven is reintroducing you to yourself. This is the version God saw when He called you by name. But with blessing comes weight, greater accountability. Your choices ripple further. One decision can bless a city or wound it. This is not just abundance. It is stewardship, and God is watching how you handle it. A year from now, you will look back and hardly recognize the person you were. Not because you wandered into change, but because Heaven accelerated your becoming. This is who you were always meant to be. And now, nothing is holding you back. Chosen one, God is covering every need from today.